Valerie, I think we're live on Facebook. We're good to go.
Hi, everyone. A very warm welcome to our webinar series organized by the Global South Coalition for Dignified Menstruation. My name is Valerie. I am a steering committee member of the GSCDM, and I will be moderating today's session. A bit of a background on Global South Coalition for Dignified Menstruation. It is an organization that has over 85 members, and this organization was formed to strengthen the objective and agenda of dignified menstruation globally. The coalition does bring together policymakers, activists, researchers, grassroots advocates to challenge menstrual discrimination. And you can visit our website on www.dignifiedmenstruation.org to learn more about the work that we're doing. And we are also available on social media. I also want to mention that this webinar series is part of our learning cohort designed within the Sang for Sang project to create a feminist, inclusive, and political learning ecosystem that is centered on dismantling menstrual discrimination and promoting dignified menstruation globally. This project is supported by AFD along with 4 implementing partners, namely Equipop, Force Feminista, PSI Europe, and GSCDM itself. So, for today's session, you can share your names, the country that you come from, the organization that you belong to, the work that you are doing. You can share all of this on the chat. The session is also available in French and Spanish interpretation, and you can use the settings on Zoom to make the adjustment. And at any point in time, if you're stuck, just let us know, and we will try to assist to the best of our abilities. Okay, so the topic for today, dignified menstruation, pandemic emergency, and humanitarian settings. Our objective, dignified menstruation, does not stop during pandemics, emergencies, and humanitarian crises. Yet it remains largely overlooked in preparedness, in response, and recovery efforts. This session aims to bring dignified menstruation into the conversation, firstly, by exploring the challenges and promising practices for ensuring dignified menstruation in crisis settings, and secondly, for inspiring dialogue and action to integrate menstrual dignity into humanitarian policies, planning, and interventions. So today we have 2 amazing panelists, and it is my pleasure to introduce to you Bushra Manur. Bushra is a period rights activist from Pakistan who started a national movement in the country called Mawari Justice, Mawari meaning menstrual, to advocate for the right to safe menstruation in times of disaster when the 2022 floods hit Pakistan. She has led Mawari Justice to fight against luxury tax on period products, provide immediate period relief in times of crisis, and include menstrual health management education in a national curriculum for Pakistan. Bushra and her team use art to dismantle menstrual discrimination and stigmas. Our second panelist is Tumelo Musole. Tumelo is a lawyer, a trainer of trainers, an international MC, and events host with extensive experience in program coordination, youth empowerment, humanitarian advocacy, and climate change action. Tumela holds a Bachelor of Law degree and advanced training in journalism, international relations, communication, and program evaluation from institutions such as Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health and MSTCDC Tanzania. Tumelo has facilitated trainings for more than 4,000 individuals across Africa and engaged over 3,000 adolescents in rights-based dialogues. Her leadership has been recognized globally, including awards as a SADC Zambian Youth Representative and Trailblazer at the International Conference on Family Planning. She has served as co-chair of the ICFP Humanitarian and Crisis Settings Committee, coordinated high-level convenings, and presented frameworks at international conferences. Tumile is passionate about inclusivity and systematic change. She collaborates with UN agencies, with NGOs, and global platforms to advance dignified health outcomes, gender equality, and sustainable development. So, Bushra, from your experience, your background with leading Maori justice, what does a dignified menstruation mean in humanitarian settings, and what are some of the most overlooked forms of menstrual discrimination that emerge during emergencies?
Thank you so much, Valerie, for having me here and for the nice introduction as well. What we have seen over the past few years is how the menstrual stigma that we see everywhere around us, it just becomes multiplied in times of disasters. We see a breakdown of infrastructure, we see a breakdown of supply chains, we see a breakdown of health services as well as of water and sanitation, and that has severe implications for menstrual health and management as well. Over the past few years, what we have been witnessing is that whenever there is a disaster, there is a dire need for safe menstruation. And when I mention safe menstruation, it doesn't just, mean access to safe period supplies. Yes, access to safe period supplies is one component of it and one very important component, but the problems are much more complicated than that. We often see that people do not get access to safe or running water in which they can wash their underwear or wash their reusable period products or the cloths that they're using to manage their menstruation. That leads to a lot of other health complications. And another problem that propagates due to menstrual stigma is the shame surrounding UTIs, surrounding vaginal infections. Because if you're not able to access safe period supplies or the right to safe period is denied in times of disasters, that doesn't mean the stigma around menstruation goes away. It is just amplified, and we have often seen that in humanitarian settings, especially the medicines and the resources that are used for treating UTIs, for example, they are almost none because the entire population of the disaster affectees or people in the humanitarian settings might not benefit from it. That is the state's stance. So they don't include these supplies in those. And it becomes so much more difficult for people who are menstruating to access them as well because of the shame and stigma that surrounds it. Because you cannot just go out there and tell that, hi, I have a UTI because I did not have access to clean water. Now I need assistance. It doesn't work like that because these stigmas are so strongly ingrained in our society. Another problem that we see is that how a lot of menstruators are also the primary caregivers of their families. They not only have to take care of themselves, manage their menstruation, but also provide for the family, also take part in the rehabilitation as well, make sure the kids and the other people in the family are evacuated, they get access to food and clothing as well. So they have to do take part in these roles while also having to manage menstruation. Another very critical problem is that the menstrual stigma, it doesn't go away. So if you have a menstrual stain in time of a disaster, the society is going to judge you the same way it judges you in any ordinary time. So what we see is that people have to struggle in these multiple fronts because of the fact that we haven't been able to normalize this conversation about menstruation, and because of the fact that we still see to this date menstruation as something that is extremely tabooed and that should not be talked about. One other problem that we often see in humanitarian settings is that the conversation about menstrual injustice is only limited to product provision. Product provision is very important. I completely agree with that. And oftentimes it is the only thing that a lot of people can do, and it makes a huge difference. But at the same time, it's high time we expand that conversation because there are a lot of other things happening. People lose access to water, people don't have access to privacy, people don't have access to any safe place in which they can change their clothing or pad that they're using to manage their menstruation. And I also feel like, product provision sometimes it acts like a band-aid. It's very critical, but at the same time, it also is a call for the government and the state to step in and take this matter seriously, because aid is not sufficient. Aid does not reach everybody, and we cannot make people we don't want people to be waiting for it as well. We need long-term solutions that go beyond the provision of pads only. And I think that is the conversation that we need to be having when it comes to humanitarian settings, that how do we make sure that we implement solutions that go beyond one-time product provision.
Excellent, Bushra. I I appreciate how you have actually highlighted that emergencies expose all those inequalities that are already there. And like you say, emergencies do not create the menstrual discrimination, they often magnify it. Um, Moving on to you, Tumelo. Having worked across humanitarian, public health, and policy spaces in Africa, why do you think menstruation continues to be overlooked in emergency preparedness and humanitarian responses? What are the structural or legal barriers often enough preventing menstrual dignity from becoming a standard part of crisis response?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I think even starting with what was mentioned by Sharon when she was talking about how it's not enough just to have menstrual products. There's actually more needs that people have on ground. When we look at it from a legal standing point or point of view, you'll find that the people who are drafting most of these laws are not the people on ground or the frontline workers in humanitarian crisis settings. And they would only be able to draft laws that sound good on paper. But then when it comes to the actual process of implementation, becomes a bit more difficult because you find that these laws are very technical, they're written in legal jargon, and the people who are supposed to be rights holders of these laws or are supposed to own them don't even understand them majority of the time. In order to have them understood, maybe they'll need a lawyer to interpret them, or they'll need someone who's very familiar with the sort of language. But then you find there's need to actually break them down in the particular local language spoken in that area, because how can I uphold a law or a right that I don't even fully understand? So it all starts from sensitization and awareness, and also inclusion at the table where laws and policies and frameworks are being created from, so that we can have the actual people, the people who are experiencing menstruation, be on these boards and these tables and speak out about the things that affect them, the things that they think would be beneficial for them, and also the things that would help them. Because one thing with humanitarian settings is that majority of the times in particular areas, you find that the same crisis is faced time and again. So you find if it's an area, for example, some areas in Zambia, you find that they're known to have floods or flash floods, or they're known to have drought. And some areas, maybe when it comes to issues to do with climate change, you'd be able to predict what would happen in that particular moment. So you find that with the laws, policies, and frameworks, they fail to put in place prepared mitigation measures that can be taken. And you find that even if it's something that happens over and over in a particular area, people would address it like it's happening for the first time, because no one is going to take the steps or the initiative to know what to do or to prepare in advance, or even educate the people how to go about a particular situation if they were to face it. I'll give an example of a colleague who I met from the Philippines, who told me to say mostly in humanitarian settings for them, for mothers or women who do get pregnant, or people who menstruate, they would educate them on how to handle or how to take care of themselves, mostly when flooding comes in, or when the weather gets bad, or if they have to go up to a mountainous area, they would be educated in advance and they would know what to do, and they would have that preparedness with them, as well as the frontline workers. But then you find that in situations where we are not proactive and rather reactive, it becomes very difficult to address such situations. And another thing that I'm going to mention is the language. You find that even the language that is used to address the situations is not as inclusive as it should be. Because you find that if it's just defined as menstrual health or menstrual hygiene, it fails to take in aspects of menstrual dignity, where we're looking at people's rights, and we're looking at upholding them and ensuring that they're able to access those rights in that particular setting. And one last thing is that we look at menstrual health in a homogeneous way, where we do not disaggregate it and break it down to the particular needs of the people in the area, because the needs of a 13-year-old who's experiencing menstruation for the first time are totally different from the needs of a 35-year-old, maybe with endometriosis. And so you find that as a result, we fail to meet people's needs because we just take it as a universal experience when it's different for each and every individual. So those are some of the areas in which the law is failing to address the gaps, as well as the discrimination that's mostly faced by menstruators, and where the change needs to start from and start happening from. Thank you.
Great stuff. And I think what stands out for me from what you've just shared is it's really important that we create laws, we create frameworks, we create solutions for menstruators by the menstruators, and that's really relevant. So we have established that menstruation is not simply a health issue. How can humanitarian actors shift from viewing menstruation as a logistics issue, sorry, to recognizing it as a matter of dignity and human rights? Bushra, can you answer this for us first, please?
Yeah. Definitely, menstruation is not a health issue, yet it is a biological process that takes place inside of the human body, like many other biological processes. But menstruators, they live in a society, and menstruation is a social process, and the social repercussions that menstruation carries are very important, and they cannot be ignored. They're also the root cause of menstrual discrimination as well. Um, it's very important that we try to make this a very integral part of our conversation, and steer a little bit away from the health focus only, because while it's very important, and while it provides us with a lot of important information on menstrual health management, for instance, but that is not it to menstruation. Menstruation is so much more to it, and in doing so, it's and I completely agree with Tumelu in this case as well, that she mentioned that the needs of menstruators, they are different. They vary across geographies, they vary across life cycle, and they vary across different contexts as well. And it's very important the approach that we take that takes that into consideration as well. We often see that there are many systems at play that cause this menstrual discrimination. We see that, there are, for instance, we see how media tries to portray menstruation. Either we see no mention of menstruation, or when there is menstruation, it is usually in ads to make money. So it is not for the good of the public, but it is being displayed because some person probably a man is getting richer and richer because of our periods. And the hushed tones that we see around menstruation, how we see that people are, and honestly, how we learn about this menstrual taboo and menstrual stigma, media plays a big role in it as well. And there are other systems that make menstruation as a uh, 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 social product, and we often see that in addition to media, in addition to this the capitalist system which tries to make money off of menstruation, we often see that how the menstrual stigmas, they're not natural, if I can use that word, because they are learned and they have been transported in many cultures because of the colonialism. We have seen how the world views menstruation. It was not the same many years ago, and there have been quite a few changes, and this homogenization of menstruation as just one singular experience that everybody experiences in the same way. A lot of colonization has played a huge part in it, and also in treating all the menstrual practices, cultural practices, as sort of something that are not to be followed. And yes, here I comment both on the practices that romanticize menstruation as well as that completely stigmatize as well, because both are the two sides of the spectrum, and we're not aiming for any of them. We don't want to essentialize menstruation as a woman only experience. We don't want to essentialize menstruation as something that is tied to reproduction only. Menstruation is a biological function, and it neither needs to be romanticized in a way, or neither it needs to be treated as something that is completely disgusting. We work a lot with people with disabilities, and we often see that in our society, even if a person has a vision or not, the society is going to treat them the same way and going to treat their stain the same way. When we come across little girls who have started menstruating, they say that whenever there is a stain, the amount of stigma and the amount of shaming that they have to face is a lot, and it puts a huge strain on them, because for a person who has vision impairment, they might not be able to see menstrual stain. The point is, menstrual stain is not a problem. What we need to get rid of, we don't need to we don't need to steer the conversation away from that, but what we need is to normalize stains. It's completely fine. Accidents happen. It's normal blood. You wouldn't be hiding a blood stain from your hand or from your arm. So when we do not have this conversation about menstruation, it harms so many people. It harms people in so many ways, as well as, like I mentioned, about girls with visual impairment. Another problem that we often see is that our conversations, they're very, you know, focused for able-bodied people. So, for example, whenever we are talking about menstruation and how to know, for example, your period is approaching, or how to distinguish between a normal menstrual period as compared to an abnormal one, and when to see a doctor, the conversation is heavily based on the color, consistency, which is not something a lot of people with disabilities can distinguish. And that is why it's very important, whenever we are having the conversation about menstruation, to see it as and see menstrual injustice as a systemic problem, and make sure that everybody in that context, in that social context, is included in those conversations, because menstrual justice is something that can only be attained when we are considerate of each and every individual in our society, who menstruates or who doesn't menstruate.
Great, Bushra. Thank you. What are your thoughts on this, Tamilo?
Okay, thank you very much. And that was awesomely put by Pusha. My thoughts on it are that when it comes to distribution of products, or even just being able to assist people with what they need in humanitarian settings, the focus mostly beyond how many toolkits have been distributed, how many people have gotten access to services, and in some cases, particular attention wouldn't be paid to what the situation or scenario was for the women who are accessing the services, to ensure that there was no gender-based violence or abuse of power and authority from the people who are distributing the services to them. But then we forget that menstruation is beyond just bleeding. It goes into the psychological needs of a person, the physical needs of people, as well as for women with disabilities. You find that we are not looking at how the environment is providing a space for them to also feel safe and a space for them to also easily go through this process feeling supported, because you find that things such as, let's say, access to water or even access to a space where you can freely change, because if you're feeling stigma or people are stigmatizing you or discriminating you based off seeing you having a blood stain on your clothes, then what more when it comes to you being able to change your pad? What stigma would be there? Because people would look at you as different, people would treat you funny, some would disassociate with you, and that has a lot of psychological needs that affect menstruators, and you find many of them wouldn't be proud or open enough to ask for help because it happens differently for different people. Maybe let's say if it's an abnormal situation, they wouldn't feel free to ask for help because already they feel like they're being stigmatized or discriminated. And also another important thing is that there needs to be more structural ownership in most cases of dealing with the provision of menstrual products as well as menstrual services, because you find that it's mostly passed around to say, okay, it's going to be dealt with by WASH, it will be dealt with by maybe health, or to be dealt with by education. But then there's need for integration in these services to make them more holistic as well as partnership, because you find that most of the times when aid is being given or even humanitarian response has been given, sometimes it might be done in solos by different entities or different organizations, and you find that that effort that they're making to help to give help, aid, and assistance will be made much stronger if they work together in collaboration, partnership, as well as integration of services, because there would be need for times where a doctor will be needed for assistance, psychological support would be needed, as well as just assessing the particular needs of each and every individual. Because for me, one thing that got me thinking was the other day I had really terrible stomach cramps. And I was imagining to say, if I was in a situation where I didn't even have access to water, or let's say in a situation where displaced, where you don't even have access to a proper toilet or place where you can freely change, how would I be able to deal with that situation, given already I'm in so much pain and I'm being put in a situation such as that? So I think it's such situations that we have to take into context so that even our service provision can be enhanced and we ensure that we go beyond just providing menstrual products, but looking into the detailed needs that are mostly overlooked and seeing how provision for that can be made to ensure no one is left behind and everyone and every menstruator feels safe, supported, and that their rights are actually known and are being implemented by stakeholders. Thank you.
Wow. So thank you both for setting the stage so powerfully. I think we've heard a very important shift today, shared by Tumelo and Bushra, and that is to move away from thinking about product alone to recognizing people. Humanitarian responses should ask not only what the menstruator needs, but more importantly, how can we uphold the dignity, the rights and agency throughout a crisis and work collaboratively? So, Bushra, with Mawari Justice, where you've actually combined emergency relief with policy advocacy, education, and even art to challenge menstrual discrimination, which of these approaches has created the greatest impact, and what lessons could other countries adopt when responding to future crises?
Ever since we started Mawai Justice, our focus has been to make sure that we normalize conversations about periods. But we were met with a big problem that we haven't had an open conversation about periods for decades. And the moment you try to start that conversation, you're met with a lot of awkward silences and it's very just difficult to steer up a talk about menstruation. So, and that is when we started using art as a medium to, begin talking about menstruation openly, and it has been really impactful. We have been creating rap songs, for instance, and these rap songs are created by people who come from Tharparkar and from a particular village in Tharparkar, Jhutto. And this village was affected during the 2022 floods, and we've been working with them for a very long time. And there's some girls from there, they started creating rap songs, and they are very good at it as well. And these rap songs are very helpful because initially whenever we try to have a conversation about menstruation, we are met with a lot of hush hush. It's very difficult to start that, and becomes you have to navigate it. But now we see that often when you're using mediums like art mediums like rap songs, there is just so much joy that we see, because I feel that while we are advocating for menstrual justice, the entire process, it has to be fun as well. It has to be enjoyable as well, not just for the people that we are working for, but for the activists themselves as well, because otherwise you will face a lot of burnout, and that's not what we want to do. So we try to use approaches that are fun, that are relaxing, and that change the mood instantly. And one of them is rap songs, of course. Other mediums that we use are comics. We create superheroes and or heroines, and that are, that are fighting menstrual discrimination and menstrual stigma. And these stories resonate a lot with kids, and they try to, mimic those characters, say those dialogues, and they're really, really popular. And what we have been trying to do is to translate them into as many local languages as possible to make sure they're accessible to a wider audience. And in times of crisis, when you do not see a lot of hope around, art is something that can give hope. Art can is something where people can find joy. Art is something where people can find some solace, and that is what we have been trying to do. We play some games on themes of menstruation. We play um, games that make them think, in which kids are fighting some monsters who are spreading menstrual stigma and menstrual taboos. And in that way, the entire act becomes educational, but at the same time it helps people enjoy as well, because at the same time, even in crisis situations, even in cases, in areas, and in times when the situation is very fragile, we're just humans at the end of the day, and we need pleasure. And when we combine pleasure with our activism, and we make pleasure and joy an integral component of the work we do, I think we can achieve great things. And that is what we have been seeing here in Pakistan, at least.
I can definitely relate to that, using art and creative models, for menstrual education. And I agree with you. It makes it fun, it makes it interesting, especially when you're addressing a pertinent topic such as menstrual discrimination. Tumelo, so you have worked with governments, with UN agencies, and humanitarian organizations to strengthen inclusive programming. From your experience, what practical changes should humanitarian agencies make before, during, and after the emergencies to ensure menstruators are not left behind?
Okay, thank you very much. So the first change that is needed is for both menstruators and non-menstruators to be educated about menstruation. I think that's where it all starts from, breaking the barriers, dismantling stigma, norms, and shame, and actually educating people about it in a way that we talk about as something that's beautiful, because there wouldn't be any life on this earth minus the ability to carry life by menstruators. And it's also a biological process that happens to us, and it has to be something that's embraced. So I think that's where the first step comes in, where once they're educated, even non-menstruators should be able to support menstruators in humanitarian settings. and also know the signs and symptoms, and also provide them with spaces where they can feel safe, where they can feel not judged. Because let's say in a situation where we have a woman who cannot see and she lives with a non-menstruator, how would she be able to access even the menstrual products that are being given to her? So it starts from education, and it starts from making it a conversation that's beautiful and a conversation that doesn't carry any shame. And then secondly, it also goes into having frameworks that are created with the people who are working in the front lines on ground, included on the decision-making tables, to ensure that we do not have any beautiful laws and policies that are just going to sit as legal frameworks, but no one knows how to implement them, and they do not speak to the implementation process that happens on ground that's realistic and logical. And lastly, also ownership by structural holders, in the sense that it should be something that is implemented in every aspect of life, not only when we are found in humanitarian settings, but it should be something that's implemented in schools, in conversations at churches, in communities, markets, so that way, even as we are upholding it and holding each other accountable, we not only leave it to government or aid and assistance that comes in, but everyone is a stakeholder and has a role to play. That way, there'll be more ownership in ensuring that services are given in a way that dignifies people and dignifies menstruators mostly, and would be able to implement dignified menstruation much better.
Great, and I can see how well that would work. So, especially when non-menstruators are being educated, and then, there's ownership that everyone can actually take, and we increase that landscape, and there will be more stakeholders. Great. So many emergency responses focus primarily on distributing menstrual products. Beyond products, what additional elements are essential for ensuring dignified menstruation? Bushra, can you go ahead with answering this first?
Yeah. This is a very important question because beyond product provision, I will second Demolu here that we need to have open conversations about menstruation, because when we don't talk about menstruation, we don't understand underlying problems or anything related to menstruation. And then when that's not happening, we cannot come up with solutions to those issues as well. So, the first and foremost thing is to start those conversations, and we need those conversations not just in schools, not just in workplaces, but everywhere, because coming from developing countries, not all kids go to schools in our part of the world. There are so many people who are left out, and we need to make sure that these conversations are happening in non-formal, informal settings as well, so that as many people as they can benefit from it get to do it as well. um, at the same time, at least for Pakistan, we still don't have menstrual education as a part of mandatory part of our curriculum. So that's for starters. We need to do that, and we need to start at an early age. We need to start at a minimum age of 8 or earlier, so that children get to understand their bodies, and they get to understand, and they're well prepared for menstruation as well, because menstrual stigmas, they start from a very young age. But that is also an opportunity for us, that there is a lot of potential for us to grab that moment and treat it as a place where we nip those menstrual stigmas in the bud. And starting from a young age and very early age is the way to go, but we have to have large scale campaigns, and for that reason states have to take action. We cannot have non-state actors, we cannot have activists, we cannot have non-profits doing all the work, because at the end of the day, we still do not have the reach that the government does, and it's at the end of the day, it is a government's responsibility, and it cannot just sit back and relax while the activists do the hard work and all the labor. So the state has to take that responsibility. In Pakistan recently, we got that luxury tax from period products removed, but that's just a start, and honestly it's a very very symbolic thing, because first of all, it's very much complicated to see if that tax relief is going to be if the consumers and consumers are going to be benefiting from that or not, we are not 100% sure, because bad manufacturers, they can be a little too sneaky, and they can find their ways around. But at the same time, we also want to make sure that this is not the point where we stop our advocacy, or where the government at least starts thinking that their job is done, because product provision, like we have been repeating again and again, is just tiny component of the problem that we are facing. Because even if somebody swishes a magic wand and everyone magically gets period products in the next hour, the problem of menstrual injustice will still remain, because it's not just
Mm.
about the products, it's not just about the access, it's about the culture that we've created, the culture of silence, and a culture that shames menstruators for menstruating. And for that, we need to have these broader conversations in our homes, in our societies, everywhere, to make sure that we're able to menstruate freely, like, and not have to hide their menstruation, not having to feel ashamed because of menstruation. It's a long way to go, but I think collective effort is the way forward, and it will make it happen. Lastly, the thing that we need to do is to make sure that we are including everyone in in these conversations. Just like we want to decenter menstruation from health only, we also want to decenter menstruation as a gendered issue, because it's not just affecting a certain gender. And we need to make sure that our conversations, wherever we are having them, and the policies and the work that we are doing, it's not gender exclusive, because it puts trans men, for example, at the peripheries, at the margins, because it puts that burden on them. So while we advocate for menstrual justice, it's so important that whenever we're imagining a world that has menstrual justice, it should include literally everybody that exists, regardless of their menstruation, and make sure that we are also having a life cycle approach to it as well, because menopause is still a big taboo. People cannot speak about it, people cannot share those experiences, and it can be a little isolating experience as well. And the fact that in our culture has tied menstruation so much with the reproduction, a lot of people feel very isolated, that it might be an end of an era, or they might be nearing some end. So there are those anxieties there, and there are people around us in our homes everywhere, and we need to make sure that perimenopause and menopause and postmenopausal people are also included in the work that we are doing.
Great. Tamila, what are your thoughts on this?
Okay, thank you. So my thoughts on it, firstly, beyond the products that we're given, the menstrual products that we're given, we also have to look into how those products can be used in a dignified manner. And that brings out the aspect of having privacy in such settings as well, ensuring that if a menstruator wants to change or wants to at least maybe use a menstrual product, they have the space and privacy to do so, um, in a way that they won't feel judged, and in a way that they'll feel safe to at least also use those products. And then secondly, there is also a very important need for us to acknowledge them also living in safety, because imagine, let's say a menstruator wants to use those products at midnight, or has to go to the bathroom, or has to change or clean themselves. So is the space safe enough? Is the space one in which they can walk on their own and they can feel safe enough to go and use that product and come back to where everyone is, in the setting where everyone has been put? So we have to look into such things, because they're mostly overlooked. And also, the spaces should be a place of integration, in the sense that it's always best to provide a service through other services as well. One method that is mostly used this side is the PHED method, which is a population health, environment, and development method, in which each and every one of these clusters speaks about health issues and promotes them. And that gets different targets of the population, because you find that maybe a way in which a person maybe who's a farmer or a fisher, or a person who is into the environment would understand things differently. And so integrating these lessons for each and every person at a level in which they understand them, ensuring that the information is as inclusive as possible and broken down into a way that everyone can understand according to their own level of comprehension, would ensure that this information is spread and appreciated. Because most of the times when we're also doing sensitization, it's done in a forceful way where we say it should be like this, it should be like that, but then we don't bring people in to understand why it's even like that, or understand its importance. Because once they have an understanding of its importance, they'll have an appreciation of it, and also a feeling of duty to contribute to its benefit per se. So I do feel that if that would be incorporated even in the sensitization that we do, it would dismantle a lot of norms and a lot of stigma that currently exists. Yes, I think for me,
Great,
that would be my take on that.
great, thank you. And just listening to both you and Bushra, it actually reminds me of a time during the COVID-19 pandemic in South Africa. We also had, massive floods, devastating floods that was going on. And whilst there were NGOs and other providers giving out period menstrual products, to menstruators, but the issue of clean running water and safety and safe space and the education, all of that was being overlooked. So I hear you. So from our conversation today, we see that these overlapping crises showed us that menstrual dignity cannot be an afterthought. Dignified menstruation is indeed holistic, and even in times of crisis, every woman, every girl deserves to menstruate with dignity. So, Bushra, looking ahead, what policy changes would you like to see governments and humanitarian organizations adopt so that menstrual dignity becomes part of disaster preparedness rather than an afterthought? What role can community-led movements play in driving this change?
Um, again, that's a very good question because a lot of the work that we have been doing when it comes to humanitarian settings is relief work, is the work in recovery and rehabilitation, but very little goes into preparedness. That is a big problem because again, it's like a band-aid. It doesn't solve the root cause of the issue. And in relief and rehabilitation, most of the work that is being done, it includes product provision, and we need to move beyond that. Something that we have been doing in Pakistan here is that we work with the communities, we identify places that are vulnerable to disasters because we are experiencing more and more floods. The floods that used to happen once in a decade are happening every other year now, and every monsoon it just brings devastating rains and floods with them. So what we try to do is that we work with the people who are living there, because every year people have to move because of the floods and then go back and live in the same lands because the state is not acting and they don't have a lot of options. So we try to build a capacity and make sure the especially young kids who are about to start menstruating, so that they're prepared on what to do when a disaster comes, and if they're menstruating while a disaster is there. It includes basic information, use of household supplies, how to, for example, this includes information on what to carry with you when you're evacuating, how to manage your period while you're at a relief camp, how to change your menstruation while you're at a relief camp. It includes information like, having someone around you if you have to go, if there is no designated bathroom or toilet and you have to go to a place with surrounded by bushes, for example. So it's the little information that makes a lot of difference, because it makes sure that people are not left waiting for the aid to arrive, which again is not sufficient, does not reach everybody, is not there timely, but puts the but makes sure that the people are well prepared to do that. But at the same time, this approach has to be dealt with a lot of care, because we don't want to put the blame on people. People who are menstruating, yes, we can work with them and we can make sure that they are much better prepared to manage their menstruation in times of crisis. But at the same time, it is ultimately the state's responsibility. It's the state's responsibility to ensure that there is sensitization when it comes to menstruation. It's sensitization when it comes to menstrual education and vast spread of menstrual education that is there, so that people don't have to deal with that stigma. Because here we are not just dealing with the problem of lack of access to safe period supplies, but having to deal with the stigma while being in a disaster situation. So while the product provision can somewhat deal with the deal with the problem of lack of access to supplies, but the problem that stems from the stigma and not being able to manage the menstruation safely, a lot of it stems from the cultural barriers and the attitudes that we have towards menstruation. In order to fight that, we need to make sure that there is more and more sensitization that is happening, and we need to see this as a problem that is not just product specific, that is not just access specific, and much bigger than that. So yes, I mean, we are living in the era of climate change. We are going to have many more of these disasters, and eventually we'll be having floodings twice or even thrice a year. So we need to take that into account, and we need to accept that we are living in the time of climate change, and it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better than this, and we need to take action, and we need to take action like yesterday. But since that has passed, so right now is the moment to do that. And the governments, they need to take it very seriously, but they're not listening, and that's the problem. And we have to make noise in any way possible. So may it mean using uh, art as a medium, may mean using other creative means of protest to get their attention, but we need to do that. And when it comes to policy, like, yeah, I think that the disaster relief and units, especially in Pakistan, they've only been focused on relief and rehabilitation. So we need to make sure that people are better prepared. People are better prepared to manage their menstruation, take care of their period, take care of their postpartum if they're caught in disasters. And we need that shift towards menstruation as a problem, and we need to start looking on it as something that has a lot of potential for us to work with.
Great. So the idea is to be prepared as well for something, an emergency before it actually occurs. Okay, so moving on to Tomelo, from a legal and advocacy perspective, what accountability mechanisms are needed to ensure that menstrual dignity is integrated into humanitarian policies, climate adaptation strategies, and emergency planning? How can civil society work effectively with governments and international organizations to make this happen?
Okay, thank you. So one thing would be fully including menstrual dignity into our policies as well as our development frameworks, because that would be the best way of implementing it. I'll give an example of our Employment Code Act in Zambia. It recognizes menstrual health in the sense that it affords every woman a day within a month in which they can take Mother's Day leave without any medical certification. And that's acknowledging the biological needs of menstruators. And so you'll find that if we have laws and policies that also acknowledge menstrual dignity, not only put under categorized under sexual reproductive health, because most of our laws would recognize it under sexual reproductive health needs, you find that it would be easy even for the disaster management and mitigation unit that we have here, which is the DMMU, to quickly respond to the needs of people and take into consideration how dignified menstruation looks like in terms of implementation on the ground in humanitarian settings. And then also there is also a need to support local-led NGOs as well as social movements on the ground and community advocates who are also working on the ground, given that majority of the times when we rely on organizations maybe that are not constantly on the ground, most programs won't be sustainable because they'll be implemented for a particular period of time that that organization will be there. But once it leaves, you find that that program or that system of mitigation goes with that organization. So there's a need to integrate forces with local activists and actors on the ground as well as stakeholders, so that once they learn the new methods of ensuring that when menstrual products are being given or services are being given in humanitarian settings, they should be done in a particular way that speaks to people's needs. It will become a sustainable way of doing it, because even after the organizations that are spearheading that implementation leave, local actors will remain on ground and they'll still have that information, they'll still have that preparedness, and they'll know how to better respond the next time that it happens. Because most of the humanitarian settings that we find ourselves in are caused by climate change. And like Pusha mentioned, it's something that has come to stay, it's something that's not going. So we have to enhance and upgrade our preparedness and our reactions and our response to it. And also, it would be very essential to also learn from past mitigation measures, in the sense that we need to study which type of environment needs what types of menstrual products or what type of help or response. I'll give an example in the sense that here in Zambia, we are trying to push the menstrual agenda by giving out free pads. Taxes have been reduced on menstrual wear, and also ensuring that there is reusable menstrual products, because a good majority of the menstrual products which are currently on ground are reusable. But then we also have to assess the environment in which we're providing them in, because you find that you take reusable menstrual wear to a place that's facing a drought and people are displaced. And so they might use it, but then there'll be no water to wash them. And that will now cause other health issues. So it's very essential for us to have an understanding of what's on ground and have more collaborating meetings and spaces where we don't only make decisions for people, but go on ground and make decisions with them, so that even when they're implementing the solutions that have come from the decision making from the top, it's something that's inclusive, something that's holistic, something that's also realistic, that speaks to the happenings on ground and can be appreciated. I think that's the most important thing. It also goes back to the question that you mentioned, where we're moving away from it just being a logistical issue to a human rights issue, and it starts there. Because the logistical issue, we're just providing services. Whatever happens, it's up to the people receiving it. But when it's a human rights issue, we are with them in the community, seeing how it's affecting them, ensuring that we get feedback and ensuring that we can enhance the service to the particular needs of the people who are addressing at that particular moment. Because there's no moment that's the same way that menstruators experience menstruation differently. So we have to learn how to tailor it to the specific needs of the people who we are addressing, or the particular humanitarian situation that we're trying to work on. So when the law becomes that inclusive, decision tables become that inclusive as well, it will be much easier to address the issue.
Wonderful. So yeah, sustainability is key. And for sustainability to happen, we need to ensure that at grassroots level, there's integration and everything is remaining relevant. Like you say, you cannot have reusable pads where there's lack of water. So yes, I agree with that. So as we move to our final reflections, I'd like everyone listening in today to think about one question. What can I do differently in my own work to ensure dignified menstruation is no longer treated as an afterthought? Lasting change requires each and every one of us to work collaboratively. Okay, so Bushra, if there's one message you could leave every humanitarian organization, policymaker, and community leader with today to remember after our discussion, what would that be very quickly? How would you summarize this?
I would just say menstruation is bloody normal and treat it that way. And you don't have to feel ashamed, and you don't have to work with those barriers that the system has created. The system was not created for you. It will never favor you, but with collective action, you can change it. So yes, I think I would say that normalize menstruation in any way possible. It could, for somebody, it could mean having a conversation with colleagues. For somebody, it could mean buying period products without brown paper. And for somebody, it could mean, not feeling ashamed of the stain that you have. So it will mean different for different people, but at the same time, we have got to do it because we want to live in a world with menstrual justice, and we will make that happen.
Great. Tumelo, you're leaving parting words. Tumelo.
I think you're muted, Melo. I think we lost her.
No problem. Maybe she's just having a technical glitch. So I just want to say thank you to both Bushra and Tumelo for sharing such meaningful contributions today. We've explored policy, humanitarian response, community leadership, accountability. I'd now like to invite questions from our participants, or you can post your question in the chat or use the raise hand feature should you have any questions. Okay, I'm just looking at the chat very quickly. There's just thank yous and messages of appreciation. No problem. So I'll just move to close. So as we conclude today's discussion, one message has resonated throughout every conversation. Menstruation does not pause during a crisis, and neither should dignity. Whether we are responding to disasters, to conflicts, to emergencies, to displacement or climate emergencies, dignified menstruation must be recognized as a human right and not a charitable gesture or an optional program component. Today's discussion has reminded us that meaningful change requires collaboration. We must all work together, and that is between governments and humanitarian agencies, civil society, researchers, advocates, and most importantly, the community directly affected. So when menstruators are included in designing solutions, our responses become more inclusive, more effective, and more sustainable. So on behalf of the Global South Coalition for Dignified Menstruation, I would sincerely like to thank our incredible panelists, Bushra and Tumelo, for generously sharing their expertise and lived experiences. Thank you to every one of you who joined us from around the world today. Let today's discussion not be the end of a conversation, but the beginning of stronger commitments, better policies, and collective action, because dignity cannot wait for anyone. Okay, so on that note, we look forward to you joining us again for our next webinar in the coming month. Thank you, everybody.